Too.
Welcome to Healing the Trauma Within. In this session, I'm speaking with Janine Naus, and we are going to talk about her 5 steps to moving past trauma. Before we dive into those, let me tell you a little bit about Janine. She is a grief and trauma relief specialist and a multiple #1 international best-selling author. She works with women who are suffering and stuck in grief due to trauma and supports them on their journey to a fulfilling and joyful life. Welcome, Janine.
Uh, Thank you so much, Tracy. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have you. And, just reading through your 5 steps to moving past the trauma, I was like, oh, I can't wait to hear about these. So, let's dive in to these and just talk about what these steps are.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, sure. We can do that. And what I'm gonna do is just kind of talk a little bit about kind of what led me to it too,
Sure.
which is an important aspect of it.
Perfect.
So you know that I'm a grief and trauma relief specialist, and and I chose to focus on this area because of my own personal experience with trauma, and I really struggled a lot, and it was difficult for me to find support that I so desperately needed, and I had a difficult time trying to move forward and stop all that suffering that I was dealing with. So that led me on this quest to seek out mentors and healers and to educate myself and so then that helped me find some solutions. So and it actually led me towards doing what I do today as being a grief and trauma relief specialist and developing this proprietary holistic approach to addressing trauma. So my mission is really to help women who are ready to heal from the physical and catastrophic event trauma so that they can leave their past behind and then be fully present for themselves in the moment and then truly live their best life. So to answer your question, this is the first step that I have people start working on is really about remembering your why. And so your question is great in terms of trying to jump right into it, because a lot of times we forget our why, and coping with a traumatic event can be very difficult, and we have a tendency to, especially like in my own personal experience, of experiencing a wide range of emotions, and that can include things like anger and frustration. There might be a lot of sadness that's involved, and so it's possible, that maybe we're not even ready to address that, all of these sudden emotions, so that can be very difficult to do, and everything kind of seems like this whirlwind. So, we still have to get out of bed and, function for our day, and then during this devastating time, it's helpful that, that we understand that we get the feeling somewhere inside of us. We have some kind of a feeling where we know that we need to do something about this. We can't avoid these feelings, forever. So, we might, feel like we're floating outside of ourselves and just floating around with the world kind of spinning around us and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so in terms of answering your question is, one way to be able to move forward is to change the why questions that we've been asking ourselves. And so right now, for your audience who are trauma survivors, you might be asking yourself a series of why questions like, why did this happen to me? And, why can't I feel better? Or why is this so painful? And why is it taking me so long to feel better? So instead of that, I would like, people to think more about the bigger why, the one that's above that. And it's about your purpose, your reason for being here, and why you're here on this earth and at this time, because you definitely are here for a reason, and we all are. And so you're incredibly and uniquely important to everybody and everyone in the world. So because of your every action actually affects a myriad of other people and places and maybe some things in that it may affect. So so there's like this ripple effect that can occur as a result of you understanding your why. So what I always try to express that to, to the people I work with in terms of it's important, and that you are an important part of this whole universe that's around us, that surrounds us. And we, it can't, and actually this universe can't be the same without you. So, and without even your actions. And so it's important to understand your why and your purpose that is uniquely yours. And think about this and your bigger why, and that can help motivate and inspire you to be able to take that next step to be taken. So,
Before we jump into that next step, I have a question for you, and that is, a lot of times trauma survivors, when they're especially in their first stages of healing, they have a hard time because, depending on what their trauma is, a lot of times they've been beaten down, bullied, browbeaten, and it's hard for them to figure out what that why is. It's hard for them to determine that they're valuable, let alone they're here for a purpose. So what would you tell them, those who are in that stage, how do they start to find their why?
Well, for me, and what I suggest to the people I work with is, you just start with your bare minimum, because sometimes we get, we're like, wow, I got to answer that why question. It's so big. And, and I completely understand where people are coming from. And sometimes we just have to break things down into kind of a smaller nugget. And then you'll build upon what it is your why is, and so that when you do that, that bare minimum, it's really not for yourself, but it's you do that for everybody else around you. So let's say you have kids, and and it helps you when you're working on the bare minimum to just do enough to take care of feeding your kids and all that kind of stuff. So the idea is to stop the overwhelm and just kind of focus on just that bare minimum to get you through, so that you're not hung up and trying to answer the bigger questions. And so just step by step that you want to try to do that little by little. I felt it was important to do that.
Yeah, and that leads us into your next step, which is doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Which I guess to me sounds more like baby steps.
Yeah, in a lot of ways it is, and so the idea of that, is that you're able to take care of yourself and others. Let's say you are a mom and that kind of thing. Sometimes we have to pull back a bit and honor what we need, and so that way we're not moving in to doing too much all at once, and when we do that, we actually will find that we have more energy to do other things, so when we pull back just a little and not let the overwhelm take over, and things kind of start settling and feeling a little more balanced, then you have more energy to commit to more and to help other people. So, or to to help yourself make those choices that are going to help you get what it is that you need. So you can take some time and and then just decide on what it is you need to get the bare minimum done, and to help you be able to move forward now. So.
And if the bare minimum is you got out of bed and took a shower for the day, great. I had days, especially after Mark died, when I was in those first stages of grief, where if I accomplished that, it was a good day. Because most of the time I didn't even want to get out of bed. So, those baby steps started to add up. And eventually I was able to.
I feel that that's really important, and and I'm glad that you chose those kind of things. One of the things that other people may forget is that they can ask for help. They can get the support that they need. Sometimes we think we got to take it on all by ourselves, and and then it's like just to pull back, so because if you're going through a difficult moment, period, and it could last for a while, honor yourself by giving yourself that by doing just what you need to get done in that moment. So, and then ask for help. So
And asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it also gives you an opportunity to to rest yourself, and then
Hmm.
when you're ready to take on more, you can. And oftentimes that rest allows you to be able to take on more than you ever even imagined. So
Right.
yeah.
And I like to think of asking for support as giving a gift, because those who really love and care about you want to help you, and they want to help you through whatever it is you're going through. So by asking for support, you're almost giving that gift of allowing them to help you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what's our next step?
So the next step is going to be moving into, it's about giving yourself grace. And so when you're pulling yourself back and you're trying to do the bare minimum, this is a great time for you to give yourself grace, because um, everybody copes with trauma differently and in their own way and in their own different time frames. And um, and so it's, it could be your health, your sleep, your focus, and your energy. Maybe you're dealing with weight, or other health things. These are different things that kind of come into play while you're addressing trauma, because a lot of times there's a connection between it all. So but since um, you may not be handling the trauma the way that you think you should handle it, but really it is, or the way that you want to handle it. But um, the important part is really to be gentle with yourself, because when we're in that kind of difficult space, we can be harsh on ourselves, and judging of ourselves, for not being able to do what we think we should do. So it's, for me, it's, I really highly recommend that we be gentle and honor that, by giving yourself this grace. Because if you worry about disappointing others, um, you'll be adding one more thing into your plate, actually. So, and a lot of people, they may not realize, and right now it's this is about doing that bare minimum, right? So, um, and it may be that even when others are trying to be helpful, you may find that upsetting to you. So sometimes well-meaning people, will tell you that they want the best for you, or or but they may not know how to express it, themselves in the way that you need to hear it. So, um, and so that you may be out of touch with your feelings so much that maybe you don't even know it, realize it's going on. So the way that you want to hear it, in terms of getting it the way that you would want to hear it. So, you don't want to worry about all of that, so, just allow yourself to process and experience your own feelings, and remember you're human, and we all are. And this is your unique process. And of course, your trauma also affects, the people in your lives. And this could be, your partner, your kids, other family members, possibly friends, or even coworkers. And and everybody reacts to and deals with trauma in a very different way. And so that can make it very complicated in terms of trying to express that. So what your needs are, and you're hearing it coming from different people. So I like to remind survivors that as you give yourself the grace in how you deal with the fallout, that they to please try to also give grace to others, as well as those people around you, because they too need to process it, and how it affected them. So
Absolutely. And I love where you touched on the point that they may not say the right thing, even though they mean well. Um, and that's huge, because if somebody has never gone through the trauma that you've gone through, they don't get it. They just don't. As much as they want to try and be sympathetic and understanding, they just can't. And so they definitely may be well meaning
mhm.
and trying to give you comfort but their words just aren't the right words.
Right.
And so I love how you say give them grace, because they need to process what's happening as well.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, and be gentle with them.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Yeah. That's, I think it's so important, that we have that ability to do that. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Again, going back to the death of my husband, I heard from widows who had people say, I had one friend who his pastor said she's better off
mm,
because he can, God can take care of her better than you can. And he was trying to mean well, but my friend was like, seriously, you know, so, you know, I just had to remind him, just, he's trying to mean well. He's trying to give you comfort. He's just not using the right words. So try and be a little lenient on your reactions to people when the words that they say aren't quite as helpful as they want them to be.
yeah, so true. Yeah, it's especially, when somebody had passed, it's, people find it so difficult to figure out what to say, even though their heart wants to, be there for you. It's sometimes,
Hmm.
you know, a lot of um, a lot of
Yeah.
emotions happen at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's our next step?
What's that?
What's our next step? We're on step 4
Oh,
now, right?
oh, yes, we are. So anyway, the this next step is it's about giving yourself space. And usually after experiencing trauma, we tend to act from a place of fear.
Hmm.
And that's really designed to protect us and help us survive. And those body hormones, they almost always jump into overdrive during this time as we react with our fight or flight instinct. And then it affects the all the areas of your well-being. And after a traumatic event, the chemistry in your brain and your body actually takes on this different posture. And this explains why you may begin to feel more tightness and soreness in the body. And I recall, I dealt with a lot of chronic pain, not realizing how it's associated to, unresolved trauma that I was holding on within my body. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's so it's essential, that we find a way to calm and soothe ourselves to help counteract our natural brain and body's reaction to the trauma. A lot of people end up asking how, and really this is where space comes in, by giving yourself space. And time and space are things so many of us um, have so little of. And by giving yourself space, um, first I want people to focus on creating a physical space around themselves, and and then in the space should be something that's calming and comforting. And you may be looking around your house and thinking, where? I got my kids' toys all over the place, and then maybe you're bringing your work home. Now in the time of like the pandemic, you're working from home, so work is all around you and in your physical space. So it's really important to find that space for yourself. So and it doesn't have to be an entire room. It can be just a comfy chair back in a corner someplace. And so you can maybe drag that in your bedroom. And then another area to focus on with space is about time space. And you want to take the time you need in the moment that you need it. And so that's really important. So if you're feeling really down, you know go take some time in that space to just to be with yourself. Go hop onto that comfy chair, and just find ways to relax. And anyway, so it's for me, it's it could be like your bathtub. A lot of people love that one. It's it's a safe space, and you want to light some candles around you, and for like a half hour, and just kind of get away from it all. And that way you have that time and space for yourself. And, and I encourage people to do this because when you give yourself the space, it'll help you heal, and eventually you'll begin to, start looking within, which is part of what a big part of our healing process, and exploring those feelings, and then you'll be ready to move forward. And the one thing I like to remind people is that self-awareness is key to creating that healthy and balanced life. But you need the space to be able to do that. So.
Absolutely. Um, the first thing I did after Mark died, and I just keep using this trauma because it's the most recent one I've been through, but the first thing I did was I had to make our bedroom mine, because I couldn't go in there with it being our bedroom. We chose the paint for the walls, we painted the room together, we chose the comforter and this, etc. And so I had to go in and I repainted in a more, I made it girly. It was the first time I've ever had a girly bedroom, but I made it girly, I made it mine. And that became my space, my healing space. And that was very important to me, and to my healing, to have that area. So I completely agree that having a space, even like you said, a favorite chair or the bathtub, whatever it is, having that space where you can just be and process is crucial.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry about your beloved Mark, and what a beautiful thing that you chose to do, and creating that space for yourself. And it just it's just the honoring of process. Grief is difficult, and these steps that we do to help honor our process through helps so much. So that's just beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And so our last step is, what's our final step?
Oh, the last step. I thought the screen looked like it froze for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. So the last step is about plan to succeed, and so like you were sharing about your beautiful bedroom, and it's creating that sanctuary, and I believe it's so essential to do something like this, and and in my book, Creating Heaven Wherever I Am, it's based on this kind of a concept. So what we do is we just plan to succeed, and so you identified your why, and you're moving through the bare minimum, and you're giving yourself the grace and space that you need, and you'll come to a moment when you're ready to begin to think about your future. So this is the beautiful part about this flow of it. And so when we think about that, a lot of healing is taking place when you are in the moment and focusing on your present actions. And so this helps you set you up for that. So, but when you are ready and you're looking, ahead, it will help build your resiliency and give you the hope that you need, which will fuel your desire to move forward. So, planning will help you envision your future and all the possibilities that you can have for yourself. And at first, this feels difficult, initially. So to recognize that, honor that, that's just part of the process, but it will start expanding. Because, when you start envisioning that hopeful future, things start to shift. And so you may believe that, planning for the future symbolizes something about your past and what happened, or you may be reminded too much of that traumatic event. So, but making these plans doesn't change what happened or your feelings about it. And that's important to recognize when it comes to planning. And so planning will make you feel more in control during a difficult time. And you'll see that you can take back control when you make decisions about your future, despite what happened in the past and in your past. So making future plans also provides this rough roadmap for what may be a challenging journey ahead of you. it's empowering to have a plan and to consider those next steps. And, I know, maybe several members in your audience may be suffering now, but I want them to know it's important to understand that you are alive and you are coping and you have not been defeated by despair, and that in itself can bring you a lot of hope. So
I love it. That is a perfect spot to leave our listeners with. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being a part of your summit. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
That we do. This is important work we do.
Yes, it is. It is. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We will talk to you in one of the other sessions.
Thank you.